Well, here we are inside the engine bilge area, engine compartment, and I was all ready to put the engine back in and realized that I need to, of course, check on the water inlet situation. Mercruiser, Bravo, and their infinite design engineering decisions came up with a way to bring the water from the sea into the back of the boat and into the pump on the engine, which circulates through the engine, cools the engine. And what they decided to do is take a piece of hose, rubber hose, and just stick it through a hole. And of course, this manifold hose adapter gets bolted on right here, and then you have another hose from this barb here, runs up to the engine pump. I'll show you that. But what happens on these Bravos in saltwater, they call it Bravo rot. You can see I've already knocked off some of the aluminum corrosion. Basically turns to a powder, and what happens, what holds this in here is a plastic plug. It's tapered, and you see this one's wrecked because I had to damage it to get it out. And what you do when they install these, this goes in right here, and then there's a special tool that turns it, and it's tapered, and the further it goes in, it squeezes out, and that's it. But what happens, the corrosion starts around the hose, literally squeezes the hose, crushes that plastic tapered insert, and this will close down and give you very little and sometimes no water, and you end up with a burnt up engine because it just cannot get cooled. So I've already pulled the plug out, as you can see. Basically I'm just going to push the hose back out of there to show you. It's kind of a tight fit because there's still corrosion in there. There you go. And I've already taken a screwdriver and went in there and cleaned that up just a little bit. But you can just see what happens. So they make different resolutions for this issue. They make a flange, stainless steel, with a piece of hose. A piece of tubing on the stainless steel. That's one option. Or another option is just to clean this up, treat it with some corrosion resistant paint and acids and treatments and such, which I've done before, and just go back in with a new hose and a new insert and just go with it. It'll probably last for years, maybe. It's not that hard to keep an eye on it. So that's where I'm at. And since I was back here, I got to looking around at this rust on the steering arm, corroded bolts, nuts, just a ton of rust. This is the Y pipe, the exhaust, where the exhaust goes down, meets left and right side of the engine. Sometimes it can leak on this 4-bolt flange, and you get water in your boat. So while I'm in here, never done it before, but this is called a transom plate. I'm going to remove it, and on the back of the boat is a housing, and it's all going to be removed, and all you're going to see is a big hole in the back of this boat. So I can take this whole assembly here and clean it up. There's bearings in here that can get weak. You can get play in the steering. So I'll get a chance to look at all that and, of course, seal everything up, clean everything. This boat's worth restoring, and I just hate putting it back together without taking care of these kind of things. You can see the rust is just incredible, but all that can be hopefully taken care of and basically rebuild it, and it'll drive like a new boat. So looking forward to that. Just to show you where that water comes in, this is the hose that connects onto that nipple that I showed you on that water inlet in the back of the boat. Of course, here's the back of the engine. Comes in about this location, and the water is sucked in by this pump right here, which is driven by a belt. It also drives the fuel pump on this model year, which is interesting. But in here is a rubber impeller, and it pumps the seawater in, then blows it out this pipe, crosses over, goes through a cooler, comes back up, and enters the engine right here. And it goes through the block this way. Also goes into this pump here, which is on the front of the engine. The water pump feeds the block in 2 spots. And eventually it's expelled through this hose and this hose, which goes into the bottom of the exhaust manifolds that bolt right about here, and eventually gets blown out the back along with the exhaust gases. So it helps cool the exhaust manifolds, keeps those cool, and of course expels from the engine, takes the heat away from the engine, keeping the engine at a proper temperature.